One of the more interesting guys to sit and watch some film of for the Ravens once the season has been over has been James Proche. Had a very unique season, if you ask me. He had 2 games where he had a lot of impact, had multiple times where he was inactive, and then had some games where he hardly touched the field at all. One of the things that he's really good at, and you can tell he's got a lot of experience in a spread system, is when plays have been extended by the quarterback, when the quarterback scrambles or gets outside the pocket. James Proche almost intuitively knows where to be. He generally just follows the flow side if he's on the backside. Here he is running, like a lube route up the middle of the field. Lamar extends the play outside the pocket, and Proche makes a ridiculous catch along the right sideline. Another thing I've noticed about him and watching a lot of film of him is everything he does, he acts like he's been there before. There's no huge celebrations for him. It's almost like he expects to do everything that he does when he gets his opportunity. You'll see him here in a moment flash across the screen and make an unbelievable catch. To me, James Proche doesn't actually force any other Ravens receivers off the field. He just complements them. If you want to go with 11 personnel, James Proche fits perfectly in the slot. Here he is, the game-winning drive in overtime against the Colts. And on this play, Lamar doesn't extend the play outside the pocket. He just keeps things alive by moving around and staying inside the pocket looking for receivers. It's against the Colts' version of cover 3. Proche is able to run underneath the linebacker's coverage and get wide open, and then withstand a huge hit from the curl flat defender, which I think is the safety number 42 you see going off screen to the left right now. Proche is going to flash across the screen here. Lamar actually checks the curl flat defender to see if he can throw this ball to Proche without putting him at extreme risk. He still took a big shot. I think it just illustrates how tough the guy is. He pops right back up and acts like it's not a big deal to him. The only drop that I saw on any film of Proche in 2021 was this one against the Broncos. Still is a positive play from the standpoint of he recognized that Lamar was scrambling and was able to find some open space. Clearly a drop. I think he had 20 targets this year and 16 catches overall. You can go look that up yourself. I mean, that's a pretty high catch percent rate if you ask me, 80%. All right, here he is against Mike Hilton in off-man coverage, and he just loses Hilton in the middle of the field. This is the game where Josh Johnson played quarterback for the Ravens. The end zone angle gives you a really nice perspective of this. But in any case, here he is losing him right in the middle of the field, by the Bengals insignia. End zone angle, you see Johnson's looking at him all the way, to be honest with you, after he comes off his first read. Here's Proche in the middle of the field, realizes quickly he's not open, and then is able to turn back towards the boundary and give Josh Johnson the space to make him accessible. Extremely savvy player because he knew he had to protect himself on the catch. He had lost Hilton, but he knew there was a safety somewhere over the top of him. Just a very smart player. Not only smart, but like I said before, really tough. Watch him play through the contact of this Bengals inside linebacker, number 51. The Bengals inside linebackers are criminally underrated in pass pro. PFF rates them as poor pass defenders. That's because they don't know what they're looking at half the time. Watch 51 collision. Proche running through the curl to get out to the flat route, which is the number 1 receiver hooking up. Proche, it doesn't matter, knocks him off track a little bit, and then he makes an unbelievable catch on the back shoulder. He was looking for this ball to be thrown to the top of the numbers, and it was actually thrown to the bottom of the numbers. Maybe the quarterback's thinking he's trying to defend him, but in any case, watch the catch from the end zone angle. There's 2 guys on the Ravens team right now that I think make that catch, and one of them is James Proche, and the other one is Rashad Bateman. Just a classic spread-style receiver. And it wasn't just one quarterback who was able to find him this year. As Ravens fans, we all know we had 3 different guys play at different points during the season. Lamar found him some. Josh Johnson found him some in that Cincinnati game. So long as we're in 11 personnel, James Proche, should be one of the guys I think that makes himself available to get in there. There's a lot of guys who can contribute. Here's Tyler Huntley finding him on a slant against man coverage in the Green Bay game. And you'll see, there's some separation here. But this defender closes on it pretty well. Proche is able to play through contact, secure the football immediately after catching it right before the defender hits him. He got a lot of playing time in the Denver game on the road. I think he had 4 or 5 catches in that game for like 74 yards. Here he is running the angled hook route that Bateman would take over in the offense once he became healthy, making himself available to the quarterback on these RPO type looks. You get the end zone angle, you'll see A, how open he was. And B, you get an illustration of how good his hands are. Lamar's able to throw the ball wherever he wants. And then you see how tough he is. You see he runs right into the defenders, just trying to get as many yards as he can. Look, this catch against the Bengals, this was a tighter window than it looks like from the all-22 angle. From this angle, it looks like he slides in behind the inside linebackers and is pretty much wide open. You'll see from the end zone, the other inside linebacker is recovering. It's a little bit tighter window. The quarterback throws it low, I think trying to protect Proche. This is the one, if you remember, where it appeared as if he was not touched and got up and tried to scramble. The Bengals do a lot of this stuff where after the play, They try to strip the ball out of people's hands, kind of cheap stuff if you ask me, but they're coached to do it, and they drill it. Proche's obviously been drilled to do the opposite, which is protect the football after every rep. I think it should be pretty obvious at this point, if you've been watching the film the whole time and you watch the Ravens games over the year, that James Proche can have an impact. When he was given the opportunity, like this Denver game, like the Bengals game later in the season, he was able to make plays. He's able to find the open spots in zone. Look, Lamar's looking for him here to be on one side of the hash, and Proche's able to slide behind the inside linebacker and get to the other hash to find the open space. A very underrated player. I think this season you're probably looking at a guy who could have 40 to 50 catches, 5 or 6 touchdowns in a spread offense if that's what the Ravens go to. Against the Colts, a really nice catch over the middle as the inside linebacker kind of stepped up towards the formation. You'll see him. He's off screen to our left right now, and I'll pause it. A really great catch. It illustrates how good his hands are. You're able to throw the ball into open space when you're throwing to James Proche, because even though his catch radius isn't huge because he's not a big guy, whatever his catch radius is, he's going to catch it inside that radius. It's a reliable catch radius. Because he was not on the field so much, I'm sure there were some tendencies with his routes when he was in the slot. The Bengals took advantage of this later on in the game in that second regular season meeting. Von Bell, the safety, is able to slide down and play this robber technique, and they're able to get an interception because Proche's bringing his route right into the middle of the field. To this point, he'd already caught some in-breaking routes, so the Bengals had to tell. And look, the Bengals are a very smart defense. They make adjustments really quickly. James Proche did nothing wrong on this, just illustrating to you that because he wasn't on the field a ton, there was limited route tree on film, and the Bengals were able to take advantage of that. But that's not to say that every route he ran was an in-breaking route. It's just that many times that's what he was assigned to do, given the limited opportunities that he had. The one thing that I suspect, and I don't know that I can prove this in this video particularly, the one thing I suspect he's really good at doing is detecting whether it's man or zone and being able to find the open spots in those type of coverages by the defense. He played in a spread system at SMU. I think he's got really good instincts about when to sit, like you just saw there. It was a rub concept between him and Mark Andrews out of 21 personnel. Against zone here, he's going to be able to find the open space between the hash and the numbers, or pretty much right on the numbers. They're playing like a cover 2, the Bengals to the top side here. So he's going to fit between these two defenders, kind of like a shake out, but he's not really beating that defender necessarily because that defender is supposed to stay on the inside there because the corner's going to stay on the outside and the safety's rolling over the top. Bengals just playing cover 2 versus empty, and on the backside, that's how they're playing this twins technique. Proche, in any case, does a great job of selling routes to one side and then juking back out to the other side really quickly. So it doesn't really matter whether it's zone or man in terms of what he's able to do. Another example of the same concept, empty. The Bengals are playing same cover 2 to the bottom side. Proche is doing this little like shake out or whatever you want to call it, and he takes a huge hit from the corner who's just sitting down here pressing number 1 inside, then comes off number 1 and lays a shot on Proche. He holds on to the ball after contact. I mean, I've never seen any evidence that he's a fumbler or a guy who doesn't secure the ball immediately. Appears to be very aware of his surroundings and in my opinion, probably ready for a larger role. Last one here against man, he's beating Mike Hilton pretty badly again in that Bengals game. Takes him inside and then turns it back towards the sideline. It's not a huge gain, maybe an 8 or 9 yard gain, but in any case, that's a pretty high level defender who's playing in the Super Bowl that James Proche is able to beat one-on-one with a lot of space here. I'm quite sure that he's earned the trust of the Ravens coaches. I definitely know he's earned the trust of the Ravens players by putting these plays out there on film. I mean, you can't lie when you see him beat a guy like Mike Hilton one-on-one. I think he's capable of doing these things often. Is he ever going to be an 80 or 90 catch guy for the Ravens? Probably not with the personnel that we have. In a spread style system, he can contribute as a number 3, 4 type slot guy. I knew that he had 2 games where he was really effective, but I wanted to get a chance to watch the film of the whole season. I think it's pretty unfortunate that he was left inactive a couple of times because he's quite capable of helping this team move the football and thereby win games. Let me know what you guys think of my film study of James Proche's 2021 season and how you'd like to see these videos evolve or change in the future in terms of off-season player film studies.